Guys, welcome to TLC Flicks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Alright, Logan's wife Michelle Petty is always chatting and expressed her emotions about everything that occurred in the most recent Sister Wives episode. If you haven't watched the episode or don't watch because you don't think the program is good, they discussed Logan's wedding in the episode, but they didn't mention Logan by name, Michelle, or even the fact that it was a family wedding. They merely mentioned that Aspen's wedding was the last time they had all attended a wedding together before declaring that they were no longer a family. The unfortunate aspect of this whole situation is that they failed to bring up Logan and Michelle's names, which prevented them from talking about their happiness for the bride and groom. Nobody seemed to be truly showing their glee or their happiness for the bride and groom. It was portrayed more as an awkward, depressing day for the family, which, to be honest, would make me feel a little strange if I were Logan and Michelle. Like, I'm not sure if I would want to know about the drama individuals were experiencing before my wedding, or for my wedding to be associated with those emotions. However, they omitted their identities, which his wife Michelle found strange as it seemed they had never done so before. It's quite strange how this all transpired because they were not allowed to announce their names on the broadcast. However, new information has surfaced, and they've also learned to establish limits with Cody and Robyn. Michelle and Logan Brown both posted pictures online. Additionally, they released pictures taken by the photographer, and the wedding photographer also released pictures to the public. Christine posted pictures. Janelle and a few of the siblings sent pictures, and to be honest, it looked like everyone was having a great day. In fact, Janelle and Christine shared a photo of themselves together, and they both look stunning. Christine posted a picture of herself and her girls. Janelle showed her children all of the pictures. A picture of Peyton with Janelle's boys, and I believe another girl and someone else I didn't recognize was there, but it seemed like everyone was enjoying themselves. Since Cody and Robyn are noticeably missing from these images, no one was aware that Janelle and Kody had broken up at the time. Though it had seldom been mentioned on the show, we knew that Christine had gone. Alright, so after Christine left in 2021, they broke up just in time for season 17. Given that Christine had moved and sold her house, that was essentially the first official indication that their marriage was finished, even though everyone had a sneaking suspicion that it was. As a result, many of the events were known in advance, even if they weren't addressed until the show's premiere. However, Janelle and Cody's split was extremely well-kept secret, and to this day, I want to be crystal clear, they have never made a public declaration ending their marriage. Christine. Both Mary and Kody released statements, as did Christine and Kody. However, Janelle and Kody have never made a clear statement, leaving many to wonder, is this relationship truly gone, or is it not? However, it's ended. It's finished. I'm not sure why Janelle feels the need to make a public statement because she stated as much on the show, but based on the photos, it seemed like everyone was having a good time during the wedding. Not much drama seemed to be occurring. It seemed like everyone was having a good time dancing, to be honest. The ceremony was enjoyable for everyone. There were a lot of goofy things at the ceremony, such as Garrison playing the flower boy and the beer boy. He even gave away beer cans to strangers, added a beer can to his dad, so it wasn't too bad in any case, but the show gave the impression that the date was really bad, which is sad for the bride and groom. I will be forthright. However, Michelle made these remarks on a TikTok page. A TikTok video remark stated, "We told the family we preferred the wedding not to be mentioned on the show at all, but we knew we couldn't control what they talked about. That was the beginning of the controversy. That would be a 20-minute story point, we had no idea. They know, of course, that their names may come up because they are related to them. Even though they didn't want the wedding to be featured or discussed on the show, it was nonetheless mentioned." I don't know why TLC decided to be vague about whose wedding it was, she stated after. "We are simply trying to keep our life off TV as much as possible, so they don't want to be a part of the show, but we have never directed them to never use our names or act like we don't exist." She obviously continued, adding, "Yeah, we wouldn't have objected to a brief mention of it in passing, even if it included our names, but damn, it was not enjoyable to come across a lengthy explanation that it was sad and awkward on my TikTok For You page." It sounds like she was watching videos on her TikTok when this happened. It's possible that she was being tagged in stuff. I'm not sure, but that is strange nonetheless. Considering it from the perspective of TLC, I suppose I can understand why they might not feel entitled to speak about the wedding publicly if they were not granted legal authorization to shoot it. Do you understand what I mean? From a production perspective, they might have believed that discussing a subject they weren't authorized to film could have resulted in legal exposure and even lawsuits if they hadn't. However, they took the action. The strange thing is that despite being prohibited from filming Mykelti's birth, they continue to show images and refer to everyone by their full names. Thus, it's kind of strange where TLC seems to draw the line between what can be spoken and what can't be discussed when it's not being filmed. I try to stick my head in the sand and avoid as much of the Sister Wives content as I can, she continued. However, since I'm talking with you here, I'm sure I'll discover a lot of stuff for you. Right, Paige? F-A-F-O, she continued. We're just trying our hardest to set boundaries. You're accurate. In reaction to what was said on the show, I'm posting comments on social media. I wanted to make that obvious even though it's not typical of me to do so. We're making every effort to establish limits. Thus, this would be the difficult aspect of having your family appear on reality TV. Just because it's your family show doesn't mean you have to go on it if you truly don't want to be a part of it or have your name associated with it. It would be challenging because any discussions you have with your parents might be featured in an episode. And I believe that this is part of the show's danger right now because private talks that take place off camera aren't really private at all. For example, a private text thread exchange wasn't covered at all because it wasn't done correctly for the show. After it blows out and wasn't intended for the show, they discuss it on the show. Hence, because it was a family drama, it was brought up in the show. Family members were implicated in this, and sentiments were wounded. Therefore, private discussions aren't always private, and it would be simple for someone looking to utilize the material to inflate the drama on a show to use it for ratings when the boundary between fan-like reality and a reality TV show is blurred. Therefore, establishing limits would be a great place to start. However, it appears that they don't even respect the boundaries that exist. They didn't even need to bring up this wedding. One of the more peculiar things the show's producers did was to continuously pan to Las Vegas, giving the impression that the audience was at an event there. This allowed the audience to draw conclusions about which characters were actually family members of those who lived in Vegas. If you follow social media, you may be aware that Logan and Michelle reside there. You may also assume that Hunter does, but it doesn't mean he's engaged. You seem to be discussing a wedding. You were referring to Aspen as the final Aspen and Mitch's wedding as the final wedding at which the three of you attended. You were a true family, and now that you're at this new wedding, you're not really a family anymore. Is that right? You see how this connects, then, that they're going to Vegas and panning. The problem is that the wedding wasn't held in Vegas, thus they're attempting to mislead you about who the wedding was for by utilizing a location that wasn't the actual venue. It's really peculiar. In actuality, they were married in Arizona. I'm not sure why this was how the production handled it. I find this very strange, and I can understand why Michelle might be a little upset about the way it all turned out, as well as why boundaries would need to be set for such events, and why they might feel a little let down that it turned out this way. Additionally, I believe that the way it was handled did Logan and Michelle no favors, since they always say not to discuss the. However, they will continue to discuss it after that. The sad part for them was that there was no discussion about how happy and ecstatic they were, and how wonderful and beautiful of a day it was. So even though they're talking about it, they're asked not to talk about it, so they don't use their names. It could also be the parents' choice. The impression left on viewers was that it was a lovely, joyous occasion that everyone took part in, that the bride and groom were lovely, and that you were excited for their future together. You were rather happy with how everything turned out. Your bride looked stunning. The groom had a terrific appearance. The bridal party looked stunning. The location was wonderful. It was an amazing night all around. Like, this night is now associated with the unpleasant, depressing event in the family history, and that's kind of why I can understand why they would be upset. None of these positive characteristics or words are used to describe it. In all honesty, it would have been preferable to just keep this off the show altogether because of the way it is ultimately depicted, which detracts from Michelle and Logan's extremely lovely and perfect day and adds drama to what was probably not a particularly dramatic situation. There are hundreds of attendees at a wedding, and it's extremely simple to avoid talking to anyone if you don't want to. They did have pictures, but none of Kody's with his children were displayed, and none of the children shared any pictures of themselves with their father. Naturally, Kody found this event awkward and depressing, while everyone else seemed to be having a great time. I believe this is why Kody occasionally said things like, "I think they were looking like they were having more fun than me," because all of the pictures on social media seemed to show them having a good time. Every picture shared on social media suggested that everyone was having a great time, that the day was lovely, and that they were all happy to be back together. After all, Maddie traveled from North Carolina there. Mykelti was the lone sibling who was unable to attend due to her pregnancy. It was a fantastic occasion. I do feel awful for Logan and Michelle, since they deserved much better than this. In the past, the parents have congratulated and celebrated every wedding in the family and spoken highly of the bride and groom. In this instance, however, that just did not occur. And if I had to guess, the reason it was filmed in this manner would be that Kody's life was falling apart, and that wasn't good for him. Therefore, since it was an awkward and depressing event for Kody, it was included because, as I mentioned earlier, the whole point of the show is his crumbling life, which is what they're really focusing on this season because, regrettably, he is the main character. Are the boundaries they're establishing with only Kody or with Janelle and Christine? Again, if I were to declare who is making the decision in this instance, I believe Kody is. I would think that Janelle and Christine would be mindful of their personal space. Furthermore, Janelle said nothing about speaking with the bride or husband, which leads me to believe that Kody may have been the one who came up with the concept for this whole event. Again, shame on you, Kody. If you are looking for more Sister Wives gossip, come back to TLC Flicks for all your updates. Bye, guys.